The morning they forced the wedding dress onto Amina's trembling body, the entire village gathered not to celebrate love, but to witness what they believed was her punishment. At just 18, she stood in the center of the dusty square, her white gown dull against the harsh sun, her veil barely hiding the tears clinging to her lashes. Beside her stood the man they had chosen for her, older, rough, his clothes worn and patched, his face hardened by years of labor. The villagers whispered that she had no choice, that a poor girl with a sick father could not afford pride, that marrying him was better than starving. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that sees beyond appearances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that hope often hides where we least expect it. Amina's life had never been easy. Her mother had died when she was 12, leaving her to care for her father, whose lungs had weakened from years in the mines. Their small mud house barely kept out the wind. Some nights, hunger was louder than the crickets outside. When her father's debts grew too heavy, the village elders made a decision for her. A wealthy landowner had offered to clear the debt in exchange for marriage. But on the wedding day, the landowner never arrived. Instead, he sent a man everyone mocked, a reclusive worker who lived at the edge of the village, known for his tattered clothes and silent demeanor. People called him ugly, cursed, unworthy. Amina felt humiliation burn through her chest as laughter rippled through the crowd. She had dreamed of marrying for love one day, of building a life that felt warm and safe. Instead, she felt traded. The man beside her, whose name was Karim, stood quietly, not meeting her eyes. His hands were rough, his beard untrimmed, his hair tangled. He looked nothing like the heroes in her childhood stories. The ceremony was brief. There was no music, no feast, only whispers and pity. When it ended, Amina climbed into the back of an old truck beside Karim. She did not speak during the drive to his home at the village outskirts. She expected a shack even worse than her own. Instead, she found a modest but sturdy house, recently repaired, with a small garden blooming behind it. The first weeks of their marriage felt heavy with silence. Karim woke before sunrise and returned after dark. He never forced conversation, never demanded affection. He left food prepared on the table and medicine for her father delivered quietly each week. Amina noticed things she hadn't expected: his careful hands when tending to the garden, the way he stepped aside to let her pass through doors first, the way he placed a blanket over her shoulders when she fell asleep in the chair. Yet the village did not stop mocking her. Women pointed when she went to fetch water. Children giggled and asked why she married the ugly man. The words stung. Some nights she cried alone, wondering if this was all her life would ever be. One evening, a sleek black car rolled into the village, startling everyone. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Men in formal suits stepped out, asking for Karim by name. The villagers laughed at first, assuming it was a mistake. But the men were insistent. They carried documents and spoke with respect. Amina watched from the doorway as Karim's posture changed. He spoke fluently, confidently, nothing like the quiet laborer she thought she knew. The suited men addressed him as Sir. That night, Karim finally told her the truth. Years ago, he had left the village after facing ridicule for his appearance and poverty. He had built a business in the city from nothing, starting with construction, then expanding into real estate, then technology investments. He had become one of the region's youngest billionaires. But the wealth had brought him emptiness. People saw his money before they saw him. Women pursued his status, not his heart. He had returned to the village disguised in simplicity, wanting to reconnect with the place that shaped him and to see who would treat him with dignity without knowing his fortune. When he heard about Amina's situation, her father's debts, and her quiet resilience, something stirred in him. He offered to clear the debts anonymously and step in to marry her, not to trap her, but to protect her from being sold into a loveless arrangement with a cruel man. Amina's world tilted as she listened. She remembered every small kindness, every silent act of care. She realized he had never once treated her like property. He had given her space, respect, and time. The next day, the entire village stood stunned as more luxury cars arrived. Legal representatives announced new investments. A hospital would be built, the school renovated, clean water systems installed. Karim did not boast. He simply said he believed in lifting the community that once doubted him. The same people who mocked Amina now stared in disbelief. Some offered forced smiles, others avoided eye contact. But Amina felt something shift inside her. Not pride in wealth, but pride in the man who chose humility over revenge. In the weeks that followed, Karim asked Amina about her dreams. For the first time, someone truly listened. She confessed she wanted to study medicine, inspired by her mother's passing and her father's illness. Without hesitation, he arranged for her enrollment in the best university in the city, promising she would never have to abandon her ambitions for marriage. Slowly, affection replaced fear. She began to see past the rough beard and weathered clothes to the warmth in his eyes. She understood that true beauty was never about symmetry or youth. It was about character, and Karim's heart was the most handsome thing she had ever known. Years later, when Amina graduated as a doctor and returned to open the village's first fully equipped clinic, the same square where she once stood humiliated became a place of celebration. Children ran freely, elders received care, and hope replaced gossip. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment and tell us where you're watching from and what this story meant to you. Amina often thought about that wedding day. The tears, the shame, the fear. She realized that sometimes life disguises blessings in the most unlikely forms. What felt like the end of her dreams had been the beginning of something far greater. Karim had not only saved her father from debt, he had shown her that love rooted in respect can transform destiny. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and leave a comment to support the channel. Your engagement helps keep inspiring stories like this alive. In the end, the village learned a lesson they would never forget. Never measure a person's worth by their appearance, and never underestimate the quiet strength of a kind heart. And as Amina stood beside her husband, watching the sunset paint the sky gold, she finally felt something she had longed for her entire life. Not rescue, not wealth, but true, unwavering love.